Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Flying Over 50 at Any Age with my co host, Makeda Smith, the author of the best selling book by that name, and myself, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us. Want to welcome those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and go ahead and bring in our friends over on where are they? Yeah, on Instagram too, as well as those tuning in on Amazon Live. We're going to be bringing them in as well. If you guys do not have your copy of Makeda's book, definitely invite you guys to be able to get it. Going to remind you how you can be able to get it in paperback as well as a Kindle edition as well. We're also going to ask Makeda, put her on the spot, and ask her how the series is going for her. But let's go ahead and connect with our friends over on Amazon so we can get this party started. And we're live on Amazon Live for week number 5 of our series with best-selling author Makeda Smith. She's also, of course, you know her as a celebrity publicist and the author of this book, Flying Over 50 at Any Age. We're taking her daily messages, turn them into a nice series for you guys, have some great announcements coming for you guys next week. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. We also want to welcome our radio audience tuning in at Max WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com. Glad you all could be with us too. Makeda Smith, my friend, how we doing?
Hi, everybody. Hello, Cyrus. Hello, and blessings.
Blessings to you as well. So, Makeda, we just had a great show before the show. Before we get into week number 5, the message today is so good. It's such a great. It goes into a lot of how my mindset is. We're going to get into that. But what has it been like for you now as we're entering week number 5? How has this series been for you?
I'm acclimating to showing up with you once a week and discussing the book that I never thought I would be discussing online live.
But wasn't this your idea, though, Makeda?
Dear Cyrus, it was all my idea.
Thank you, Makeda.
Everyone knows it wasn't.
Well, look, it's been a pleasure for you guys joining us on Amazon. If you guys are new to us, welcome. Make sure you guys hit the follow button. You see it here in this corner or down below. We have programming here on Amazon 6 days a week. We have some special things coming up for you guys. We're announcing next week as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Mickey, I was sharing with you that this
Mhm.
week's message is so powerful for me, which they all have been. But I think again, it goes to the idea we talked about last week of being in the flow and movement. I
Mhm.
really see that come through in this message. So I'm going to read the message
Okay.
this week. Again, it's day 5 in Makeda's book, and again, you guys can get the paperback right now for only $9.99, or you can get the Kindle edition for $5.99. And the message is what is coded within you, which I love that title. For those of you who are joining us online, so you guys can be able to follow along, we're going to pull it up on the screen for you guys so you can be able to actually read along with us. That way it'll make it a little bit better for you guys, as well as you guys can see the great photo that is here as well. We all carry codes within us. Codes are messages that have been instilled within our beingness by maybe our parents, society, religion, etc. Some of the coding is good, some not so good. Then there's the essential coding within us all. That coding is for greatness, for pleasure, and for happiness. That inherent coding is usually buried beneath our societal coding. Coding runs deep inside us. For instance, my mother had 3 daughters back to back and a son years later. She still managed to secure her master's degree, maintain a household, and had a full time career as a school teacher. My coding for multitasking, raising children, and pursuing higher education comes from her. On the other hand, my daddy was a hustling businessman. I did not have a good relationship with him at all. It took me into my adulthood to understand his coding. And once I did, though he was long passed away, I had to forgive him. I understood that the negative coding in him led to how he interacted with me. But I also understood that what he embedded within me helped push me beyond many of life's challenges, and that the one positive code he did give me was a spirit of entrepreneurship. I remember when we were young, he drove a cab, then worked for the IRS, then started his own business doing taxes. He was known as Smitty the Taxman. When folks had tax issues, they came to him. The one thing he always said to me repeatedly was, you don't ever want to work for anybody. Work for yourself. I never really grasped the full meaning of that until I started employment after securing my degrees. I was blessed with wonderful opportunities, and my bosses were the best mentors. But I was working long hours, and my daughter was getting older. Now, when I say long hours, I mean long hours. Hollywood is not a 9 to 5 town or business. I remember being in the office well past 5 or 6 on deadline to get information out to the media before morning. So, with his words echoing within my spirit, I quit one of the greatest publicity positions I could have had at that time and decided to start my own business. My boss was a Hollywood elite, and many folks would have killed for my position to work under him, but I knew it was time to go. My dad's voice was loud in my ear, and I figured it was if I was going to work long hours, I wanted to do them on my own with my daughter around me so I could raise her properly. It was 1988, and folks thought I had lost my mind. My boss supported my decision, but my peers told me I was crazy. Who was going to hire a single parent mom working from her apartment? I was told it would never work and I needed to secure an office in Hollywood if my plan was ever going to succeed. Well, it's been about 35 years now, and I still work from home. Oh, and so does everyone else now, if they're lucky enough to. What codes drive you to do things? Are they good codes or bad codes? Were you programmed to believe that you would never amount to anything? Or were you coded for greatness? Are you ready to write some new codes in your life? Makeda, as I said, this is one of my favorite messages. I
Mm.
think it is so powerful. For you yourself, I'm curious, hearing your own words, how does it make you feel looking back at that?
It takes me back on a journey. A couple of things come to mind. I remember while listening to you read, I remember the moment I went into the office and resigned my job.
Mm, mm,
And in my mind, I think I had to be in my 20s, early 20s. And I remember knowing that it was something I had to do, but still feeling like I must be crazy doing this, you know?
yeah.
Because it wasn't like I had money saved or planned. And this was back, like I said, 1988. We had fax machines and snail mail.
Mm,
We didn't have all the technology we have
yeah.
today. So it was really a profound leap of faith. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the idea of coding. And I thought to myself when I was reading that initially when the book came out, Makita,
Mhm.
I've never really heard you talk about coding like that before. But I think the
Mm.
way you describe it in the book, we all get traits. And that when, as you were talking about your dad, I think about my dad,
Mhm.
my biological father, who was murdered when I was 5.
Oh.
And so it's interesting when you were talking about the things you got because when it comes to the entrepreneurial spirit, that's what people tell me I got from him. Because no one in
Mm.
my on my mother's side have that.
Mm.
So I look at that as a gift, even though some will look at him and say he was not a quote unquote good person.
Mhm.
Um, what was it like for you to think about that one thing your dad told you and the seed that was planted by that?
Well, a couple of things. I'm gonna come back to that question, but I want to jump on the coding thing.
Yeah.
Um, Especially in this day when AI is
Mhm.
so prevalent,
Right.
artificial intelligence. I think what we forget, we give the AI a lot of power
Hmm.
and a lot of credit, which it deserves all of that. But AI, artificial intelligence, is based on human intelligence.
Yeah.
And we are really the master plan for the AI, collectively and individually. And humans are coded, which is why computers are coded, because computers are a replica of us. So when
Yeah.
you think about coding, which ties me back into my father, I had a very antagonistic relationship with him for like until he passed away.
Mhm.
And when I finally came to understand the concept of how each individual is coded, I had to sit and understand I had to understand his coding and the time he came from, the in terms of Mississippi, the life he may have lived, the
Mhm.
programming of how men were coded back in that day. They were naturally misogynistic because they were coded to be misogynistic.
Got it.
And so I had to understand that he was operating out of a space of how he was coded. And a lot of times if we don't take the introspection and realize how we are coded, we just run with that coding.
Mhm.
But like a computer, we can change that coding. We can go internally and change our coding. And I
Yeah.
hope I answered your question.
You did, but it sparks another question. because,
Okay.
because
Okay.
when I was reading this message, so this is why I think we all have this duality about us, right? When I was thinking about your father, just from what we were able to learn in this particular message,
Mhm.
there was a duality there that maybe
Mhm.
you didn't have the best relationship with him, but he was a go-to person for a lot of people. So
Mhm.
there were people who were attracted to him for what he had to offer,
Mhm.
even though he didn't know how to always to translate what he had to offer, maybe as a father. What was that like for you to think about that this was someone who was appreciated for that, even though his coding may have been, off, in some respect,
Yeah.
it was something that was a gift to other people.
Yeah, that's interesting. You always pull in nuances out of situations because in terms of our antagonistic father-daughter relationship, I never really respected or honored the fact that he was a go-to person for so many people and the service he
Mhm,
provided for those people.
mhm,
And again, I didn't like honor or respect that because of our personal relationship. But then
sure.
decades later,
Mhm,
I had to come appreciate again when you understand how a person is coding and the duality of our codes in
mhm,
terms of the service that he provided for the community and the people he served through his business. I
mhm,
have to give honor and respect to that, even if I didn't have a great relationship with him. And the other part of that is him being a hustling entrepreneur
mhm,
planted that seed and that code in me. So I
mhm.
can't deny it, you know?
Yeah. Which is why I brought up the duality, because I hope our
Yeah.
audience gets this point that really was an aha moment for me in what you wrote. People could have looked at you and said, "What is this woman doing? She can't
Well,
be a good
yeah.
mother. She's leaving this job." You know, they could have had this idea about you, not
Mhm.
realizing the coding that you had been given that let you knew that you could do something more.
Yeah.
What was that like for you to think about that? Not everyone was saying, "Yes, go be an entrepreneur, Makeda.
No,
Leave
people
your
were telling
comfort of your
me,
job,
yeah.
take your child." What was that like for you to think about in retrospect of how it must have appeared to other people?
Yeah, it was very challenging. It was very challenging, and now you just make me think about it. So many things I have done that people have judged, prematurely judged or doubted. And yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, Cyrus, you be making my brain go woo 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 woo.
But I know I thought that was so fascinating because again, as entrepreneurs, people look at us, we're not well understood, the
Yeah,
majority of us, as your father wasn't,
yeah,
but we still had something to offer. He had something to offer. You had something to offer. We all have
yeah.
something to offer.
Something to
But
offer.
what I love about this, the reason why I was stuck on the coding though, is that we can't help the coding we're born with, but we can choose to upgrade. So
Good
what was
point.
that like for you to think about that for you, that you could maybe you had a certain coding of protector, wanting to be there for your child, but realizing that you had to upgrade your thinking, aka your coding, to be the best of what Makeda Smith could be.
You said, what was that like for me?
Right? Yeah, because that was a
Oh,
decision. You had to make that decision that I'm
yeah,
not okay with the programming I have. I feel like I can upgrade
yeah.
this for something
That's
else.
that's a strong thought. And I guess I guess in essence, I had to rely on my coding, and it was the
Mhm,
coding that I got from my father
mhm,
because I saw him be an entrepreneur. And this so he was an entrepreneur back in the, what is this, the 60s, 70s, going into the 80s,
mhm.
when entrepreneur, like right now, entrepreneur is a big buzzword and it's a big trend. It's a big trend. But back
Right.
then, folks were not entrepreneurs. Folks, like 9 to 5 jobs were what you aspire to have. So
Mhm,
him not having a 9 to 5 and then creating his own business was a very huge thing.
mhm.
And it's like, back then I didn't, like I said, I didn't respect or honor it because of the antagonistic relationship he had with me, my mom, and the family, which is
Yeah.
the duality, because he was serving two masters. He had
Yeah.
to be over here doing this so that he could provide for us. So it
Mhm.
was like a catch-22 situation, which is why I said decades later, as an adult, after he passed away, I had to sit with that and actually forgive him and forgive myself for all the negative feelings I had toward him. This
Yeah.
is a psychiatry session.
Okay. Hey, we'll lighten it up and go to the picture. How's that? Look, for
But
those that are
it's
just
interesting.
tuning in, yeah, for those
It's
that just tuning in,
interesting.
yeah.
It's
I'm sorry.
interesting
Go,
because
ahead,
that
Makeda.
picture. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was gonna say it's interesting about that picture because that picture is defying coding.
Yeah.
Because like in that picture, I think I'm in my late 50s in that picture. Probably
Mhm.
like 50, 59. I may even be 60 in that picture. Who
Wow.
hangs upside down on a pole in their 60s with like one arm? Like
Yeah.
that's defying coding.
Yeah.
So like understanding your coding and writing new codes
Mhm.
and understanding other people's codes and helping them write new codes, it's we are really like we are human computers.
Yeah. Yeah. And you say it so interestingly in the questions for us here. What codes drive you to do things? And what I thought was so interesting, you say, are they good codes or bad codes? You know what I thought about
Mhm.
in connection to
Mm.
this conversation, Makita? Are they safe codes?
Mm.
Because I think a lot of times you had to really let go of that safety
Mm.
to do something else. And I think a lot of people out there are playing it safe because that's what they were told to do.
Yes.
I remember for myself in my own entrepreneurship journey, my family who loves me, and I know they love me. And I have to say, and I tell people this all the time, my family still don't understand what I do. But they've never told me I couldn't do it. They
Yeah.
never told me I couldn't do it. They didn't understand it. In the beginning, they were like, he doesn't leave the house, but his bills are paid. That they didn't get it because that's not the coding they were used to. A
Yeah.
man got up, got dressed, went to work for
Ex-
somebody else, came home.
Came home.
There was the thing. So I think what I thought about with this message is letting go of the, are you going to play it safe,
Mm.
or are you going to trust the coding that you have inside of you? You know,
And if those codes don't serve you, are you going to rewrite those codes?
yes, yes, and realize you could do more.
Yeah.
That's why I told Makita before the message. I said this message is so powerful because I think a lot of people are stuck. And here's the thing: that program for you was your father. For others, it could be their mother telling them, "Oh no, you need to make sure you do this. You follow this path." It could be their friends telling them, "Oh no, you need to make sure that you stay within this box. You don't want to do
Mhm.
this because you don't know what people are going to think. You don't know what's out there." But I think trusting the coding and knowing that you can choose to upgrade it is such a powerful thing. Is that
That's
the
true.
message that you hope the audience takes away from today's message, Makita?
Yeah, that is pretty much the message, Cyrus. Excuse me, it's definitely the message though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a powerful one. And I think what I love too is that I think is an important thing because my computer just did it last week. Knowing it's okay to upgrade.
Oh, yes.
You don't have to settle with the programming that you have. You
Yeah.
can choose to upgrade, knowing the good things that can come from
The-
that. You can choose to stay still in what's comfortable, or you can choose. I don't mean to preach, but I just
But it's true.
yeah,
It's true.
yeah. As a reader, that's what I took away from this. Is like, you know what? Maybe I'm not gonna be the talking about you now. I'm not gonna be the
Mhm.
text person, but people will go to me for this. I
Yeah.
can be the Smitty of my own world. You
Yeah.
know, and I
Yeah.
think that is what is so cool for others. Melissa says preach, but no, it is such a great message. Hello to you, Catherine. I'm not ignoring you over there on IG. Good to be able to see you as well. It is such a powerful reminder, though, Makita, because I think so many times we do allow safety and security to stifle us.
Yeah. It's almost like upgrading your phone. Like you
Hmm.
really don't want to upgrade your phone because you're so used to your phone, but by the time you upgrade your phone and then it does all these new fabulous things, you're so happy you upgraded your phone. It's the
Yeah.
same thing about upgrading yourself.
Mm. I feel like that because I'm cheap, Makita, and I have the free trial of a lot of things. And then when I actually do pay that $8 a month, and I get I'm like, oh wow, I can do I can do all of this.
I know, right?
But it's amazing. It is amazing to think about. So again, everyone, the message for today, not my message, Makita's message is what is
Our
coded
message.
within you. That is the message. So that's the question for you. We'd love to know in the comment section if you're joining us on the replay. Make sure you guys let us know, no matter what platform you're on, what is the coding inside of you, and are you willing to upgrade it? For sure. Again, Flying Over 50 at Any Age is the best-selling book by Makeda Smith, available right here on Amazon. You all can get it either in paperback, you guys can see there, for $9.99, or the Kindle edition for $5.99. Makeda, let them know, how can they stay connected with you?
The names right on the screen, flying over 50 and at Makeda Method. You can Google either of those, and I'm all over the web.
That's right. She's all over the place. Melissa says upgrade. That's what we got to do. We got to
Yes,
upgrade for sure.
ma'am.
Makeda, this was powerful. Go ahead. Go ahead. Do you want to say
I'm
something?
just gonna say it was a therapy session for me, Cyrus. I'm gonna start calling you Dr. Cyrus Webb.
Look, I don't need any more titles, Makeda. I appreciate it. But
Dr.
look,
Cyrus Webb.
no, it really is. This was such a, when I was thinking about the duality of how different people saw your father and how different people see us in our situations, and
Yeah,
people
that
make
was
assumptions based on their own positioning, right? It just was a great reminder for me that we all have to be able to do that.
mm,
Oh, Makeda says, I
right.
just love you, Makeda. This was great.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you and blessings,
now
Melissa.
Melissa, you should know she didn't want to do this series, by the way. I just want you can love her, but she didn't
I
want to
didn't
do
want to do the series. I didn't want to write the book.
Okay, now don't tell
Cyrus
that part
made
again.
me.
Okay, Makeda, we could have just left it at the series. But y'all, please get Makeda's book. Let us know about your own coding, and are you willing to upgrade? What are you willing to upgrade? We'd love to hear. Makeda, I will see you next week.
Cyrus, this was great. Thank you. I'm gonna go light a white candle for my dad today.
Oh wow, love that, love that, and
I
we thank
am.
you all for tuning in to another great episode of Flying Over 50 at an Age. We have some big announcements coming up next week, So make sure you guys are staying tuned. For our audience joining us on Max WYAD 94.1 FM, WYADonline.com. Glad you all could be with us. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take
Bye,
care.
everybody. Blessings.